Welcome to Bunnyfish Crafts. I'm your host Heather, known as Bunnyfish on Ravelry, Instagram, and YouTube. Today is Tuesday, the 13th of September, 2016. This is episode 193, New Job. Grab some sticks and string, come sit with me. So I got the job, yay! It is going to be part-time, but like on the fuller end of part-time, like 30 to 36 hours a week is what they're looking at right now, which is fine with me. I don't mind working. So that's pretty exciting. I work at a dog daycare, and I had my first day yesterday. It was actually officially a working interview to see if I could hack it, but I did fine. I've never worked at a dog daycare before, but I have worked as a service manager at a place, so overseeing teenagers and making sure they were doing what they were supposed to. So it's kind of similar to watching over dogs. And I also have had dogs my whole life, so it's not difficult. The hardest part is going to be figuring out all of the dogs' names, because some of them are easy. I think that I know about 50% of the dogs that I worked with yesterday. I know their names. But some of them are hard because they're all the same breed, so they look very similar, and it's just certain small things that are different about them. So that'll be tricky, but I'll get it. It'll be fine. What else? So yeah, and also I worked with the biggest group of dogs yesterday. It's broken into small, medium, and large, and medium has some small dogs and also some large dogs because it's personality based as well as size based. But it was good. I had to break up some inappropriate dog behavior because one of the puppies had just been fixed, so he was still in the habit of engaging in inappropriate behavior, but that's fine. I don't have a problem getting between dogs, and yeah, it's good. It's good so far. Had a birthday party on Sunday because Gabriel turned 8 on Saturday. I cannot believe that he is so big, but okay, he's 8 now. And it was a really fun party. It was super low key. I don't throw parties, like I don't rent out places. I don't do all of that. My kids' birthday parties are, we go to a park, we have some food, and mostly kids play and grown-ups converse. That's the type of birthday party that I like, food and hanging out. So that's the kind of parties that my kids like. I know that my children would like if we did laser tag and stuff like that, but they can enjoy themselves at other people's parties like that. That's not the kind of party I like to throw. So that's not the kind of party we do. It was good though, and it was all in all a pretty good week. I recorded a mini-sode that I published on, I think, Saturday, but I can't remember exactly. That went over really well, so I will be taking you guys on outings with me because some of my shifts will be in afternoon, evening time, so I'll have mornings free. So I still plan on doing outings and stuff. Intermittently, no time designations on those, but I'm gonna try to, now that I have more free time, even though I'll be working, I still have more free time because kids are in school. All of the kids are in school. I'm gonna try to do fun little videos. So let's get on to knitting stuff. Oh, actually, before I show you anything, next month and the following month, so October, November, I am going to do the Finish Your Frog knit along again because I really enjoy that knit along, and I think that you guys really enjoy that knit along. So this is a really basic thing about rules. It'll be posted in a thread. I'll start a chat thread maybe today, maybe sometime next week. No promises on that chat thread. But if I don't start a chat thread and you want to chat about it, feel free to start a Finish Your Frog 2016 chat thread. Just throwing that out there if you wanted to, if I don't get to it. The rules are finish or frog something. If you frog it, take a before and after photo of the item that you were working on and the frogged yarn, and that's an entry. If you finish anything during the time frame, that's a new project. So if you start it in if you start it in October or November and finish it in October, November, that's 1 point. If you finish something that you start before October 1st, so if you started something today but you don't finish it until October 2nd, as long as you take a picture of it, like at the very end of September, very beginning of October, or whenever you pick it up in that time frame, if it's a long languishing whip, before you start working on it, take a picture. And then post the finished picture. That'll be 2 entries. And the way that I would like that to work is your first post, make a post that says, this is my work in progress shot of this, and then the next post, say this is the finished shot of it. That way you get 2 entries into the thread. There will be a finished objects thread where you'll post those things and a separate chatter thread. That way I can just pull prizes straight from finished or frogged. And I don't know what the prices are going to be. We'll see. I haven't decided. I just really know that I like the finished or frogged, and everybody else likes finished or frogged. I'm really sorry about the deplorable state of my nails. It is what it is. I only have one hand painted. But yeah, they're kind of a mess, and I should have fixed them before the podcast. But then I would have been painting nails instead of talking on the podcast, so who knows when this would have been up. No, I'm still going to chat some more. I could show you things, but I think Tuesday is going to be the new recording day because I do not work on Tuesdays because my sister works a shift that is incompatible with my job's shift schedules. So Tuesdays is just going to be my day off. So I think that's when I'm going to record, and hopefully I'll get it edited and uploaded by Wednesday. My chair is really squeaky and my dogs keep making all sorts of doggy noises. I feel highly distracted. I'm sorry if this is highly distracting for you. Finished object, I only have one, and it's something very small. It's another earbud cozy because I think I'm just going to make a bajillion of them. So here it is, and it is yarn that I got in a swap. Well, you know, color accuracy is not so great on this podcast right now. It's yarn that I got in yes, it was a swap, and it was I think that the swap that I got this in was a swap where you swap things from your stash. So like yarn that you are never going to use even though you bought it, or old stitch markers that you haven't used in forever. And it could be like the tools could have been used as long as they were in good condition. And I got a whole bunch of mini skeins, which is perfect. And not like mini skeins, but like leftover fairly substantial chunks of yarn. So this is one of those. So I don't know what brand of yarn it is or anything. It's red backgrounds with blue, green, and yellow flecks. So I made that. And then works in progress, because that's where we are now. I made that while I was working on some yoga socks. So here are the yoga socks, and I am about 2/3 of the way through the main body of the yoga sock. And then I'll just have to do the heel. This yarn was given to me at ZK a couple years ago. It's someone's leftover yarn. I don't know anything about it, but it's really, really soft, and it doesn't have cashmere because it's not irritating me. So, but again, it's pink, and I'm trying to use pinky things in yoga socks so that I don't have a bajillion hexapuffs in pink. And if you've been watching the show, you know why. And if you haven't been watching the show, I'm sure I'll say it again, but I just said it like last week or 2 weeks ago. So go back and watch a couple episodes. The other thing that is on this needle, because, you know, I have enough space on this needle to work more than just these 2 yoga socks, is another earbud cozy. And this was also in that swap of leftover things. This is Premier Serenity yarn. But it's not a sock yarn, it's like a sport DK weight, and I don't know where the tag is. I had the tag attached to this at one point, but it's gone now. So it's just this really pretty green. I've made several hexapods out of it. So now I'm making an earbud cozy and then maybe more hexapods. I don't know. It's really pretty. I don't think that I've made a barn raising square out of it. If you have seen a barn raising square made out of this yarn, please let me know, but I think that I'm going to make a barn raising square out of it next. So I don't want to make a second one if I've already made one. But I can't remember if I've made one. I'm going to say no, unless someone says, oh yeah, I remember seeing that. Because sometimes your memories are better than mine. These are worked on US size 2, 2.75 millimeter needles. Normally I work socks on size 1, 2.25 millimeter needles, but because yoga socks don't have toes and they don't have heels, all of the places that my socks wear out don't exist on these socks. So having them at a looser gauge is fine. I also worked on my kick in the pants socks, which I'm making using yarn from 716 Knit. It's the 716 sock base, and the colorway is a Heather Special, and it's Hardcore Hamsters. So it is the Hamsters colorway with black stripes in between, and I love hamsters. It is my favorite colorway, and I don't mind saying that every week because it just is. I love this colorway so much that I have a sweater out of it, and I want everything to be made out of it. This is where I was last week. So right here in the middle of this gray stripe. I've done a little more than 2 rounds a day on this, but not so much. Have this much yarn left. So I'm getting close-ish to that. I am about a normal length of a sock right now, like a normal mid-calf sock. So I'm working my way over my calf, and these will be knee socks with the assistance of this Premier Yarns yarn, which I used on the heel and will also use to make the cuffs so that I have knee socks. I don't know if they're going to be socks that go to my knee or over my knee. That is something I'll figure out later this month. And I'm trying really hard not to work super fast on these because I really like them, and I'm really enjoying the knitting of the socks. And every time I pick up this project to work on it, it makes me really happy. So I want that happy to continue as long as possible, since it probably won't be cool enough to wear these socks for, I don't know, a couple more weeks. Or it'll either be 2 weeks or it'll be 2.5 months, because that's how Michigan works. It either says summer forever or goodbye summer. That's how it works. I also worked on the cusp socks. Had I started these last week? No, they were a needle adjacent project last week. So I'm not very far in them. I did the cuff, and I am 2 rounds into the pattern, so there's not really much to see, but I'll show you the yarn because it's beautiful. It's hedgehog fibers. I don't know. Here's the tag. Hedgehog fibers. They're sock yarn, and it is the Monsoon colorway. There it is, Monsoon. So if you've watched any other podcast, you've probably heard about hedgehog fibers and how super soft their yarn is. This is the first time that I've used their yarn, and it is definitely one of the softest yarns that I've played with. It's 90% superwash merino, 10% nylon. It feels as soft as my merino, my very super fine merino hand spun that I've done. It's really soft. I would wear it anywhere on my body. They just happen to be socks right now, but it's super soft, really lovely. The colors, it's very, what is this color thing that I'm trying to tell you? I don't know. Very short bursts. It is pooling a little in the cuff of the sock. It's not speckly. It's just, I mean, it is a little bit speckly. There are speckles on it, but the background colors are just short little blips. So variegated with speckles, I guess. It's very lovely. The yarn is gorgeous. The project is gorgeous. And I will be working on those some more this coming week. It's a whole bunch of twisted stitches and a lot of ribbing. So it's not going to be the fastest project off of my needles, but it is really, really beautiful. The pattern is gorgeous and Cookie A is brilliant. So I also worked on my gourmet stash spinning. So if you watched my mini-sode, there was a little tiny blip of me spinning with a 2 full spindle. I'm using my Golding for this. And this is what I'm working on right now. This is called Harry Potter, the Final Battle, which is Superfine Merino, Yak Silk, Bamboo, and Angelina. And this is the second of the 2 batlings because each of the colors for this unclub, the Horcruxes unclub, had 2 batlings in it or 2 strips of fiber in it. So this is the second one. And this is how much I've spun of the second one so far. This is what I did at the birthday party. I brought some knitting projects, but I also brought spinning, and I actually started the party by winding off this fiber. My ball winder is here somewhere. I know it is. Somewhere in the basement. I should look at my journal because I wrote a list of some of the boxes that I packed. I numbered some of the boxes, especially my crafting stuff, and I could see if I specifically wrote down which one my ball winder is in, but I haven't looked yet. And I was going to a birthday party, and this is really fine. So I was like, it's fine. I'll hand wind it onto the card. So this was the Hufflepuff's cup colorway is on the outside of this. And then, so it's got 2 of these strips of Hufflepuff's cup, 1 strip of Harry Potter, the Final Battle on it. So this is 1.5 of the colors is on here. So I wound that on there, and then since I had just cleared off the spindle, I was like, oh, it's fine, I'll start this. And then of course, half of the people there were like, what are you doing? That's so cool. What are you making? And I was like, well, someday it'll be yarn. And then I gave demonstrations on how to spin. And if it was pretty much any other spinning project, I would have been like, well, really, if it was pretty much any other spindle, I would have been like, oh yeah, you can try it. But since it's my Golding, let's be serious, I wouldn't let people play with my Spanish peacock either. But since it's my Golding, I was like, I'll show you how to do it, and didn't offer to let people play with it. But yeah, it's super, super pretty. It spins up very, very lovely. I don't know if Kate is back to dyeing or not. She was sick there for a while. I don't know if she has plans to return to dyeing, but if you can find some gourmet stash fiber in a D-stash maybe, I would scoop it up because it is super lovely. Very, very excellent prep. Even though it's been sitting for like 2 years in a bag, just hanging out, the fiber is gorgeous to work with. And I'm really looking forward to continuing to spin on this every day. I didn't spin yesterday, so I'll make it up today, but I did spin. I am caught up to today other than not spinning yesterday for my 10 minutes a day because this is my, what month are we in? September? My September work in progress that I'm supposed to work on. Maybe the last podcast of this month, I will give you a little review on my works in progress because we're going to do the Finisher Frog the following month. I think that's what I'll do so you can see what I'm working on. I did work on Gabriel's Hexapuff, the giant one. Was I in the decreases last week? I don't remember. I'm in the decreases now. I've attached the 3rd ball of yarn. So it goes red on the bottom, then turquoise in the middle, and then it's going to be red on the top. So that's where we are with the Hexapuff. The kids haven't really worked on it this week, just me. I have been sewing on the pillow that I'm making out of the old quilt top. I have sewn on the quilt that I'm making for Steve. So those have both gotten work, but they don't look like anything, so I'm not going to show you. And those are all my works in progress. I have modular projects though. I have 5 hexapuffs today, which I'm pretty pleased about because I think 5 a week is a really good goal for me. If I do more than that, that'll be awesome, but 5 a week is a pretty good goal. It'll still mean hexapuffs coming in, and I really feel like I should start adding more hexapods to the blanket, which is sitting right there, but maybe not. Maybe that'll be a closer to Christmas sort of thing where I'm not going to be going to parks and not going to be going out and stuff and just be huddled under a blanket. I think that's when this is going to get more work put on it to be put together. Anyway, Haley yarn, celebratory Haley hexapuff. I purled almost everything on this upper portion. Pretty sure this is Haley yarn, but it might be Christina yarn. Sorry, I can't remember which package that came in. And then this is Christina yarn. So 5 hexapuffs, which is pretty good. I worked on 1 square on my mitered square blanket. This is the Spin Monkeys Revolution sock in the Sky Lantern colorway that I used to make the Mingus socks. So there's that. I had done this red square last week, right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that had happened. So the square, I'm up to 54 squares on this blanket. I need to be to 100 for it to be the size that I want this center panel to be. So I'm working away on it a little bit. I did not do a barn raising square this week. I just didn't get to it. I'll get to it eventually. I'm not super worried about it. The barn raising square blanket is for me, and I don't have a deadline on that. The beekeeper's quilt, though, is for my son, and I would like that to be finished in the next decade so he can have it after high school. It can be his graduation present. That's basically my plan. Which means I'm going to have to figure out something equally awesome for Mara for her graduation project. We'll see. Can I talk about something random before I show you some new things? Yes? Okay. So last week, I decided that I needed to clean out my queue. I don't know why I decided I needed to clean out my queue, but I went through and I started with 455 items in my queue. That's not that bad. I plan on knitting for a really long time. I can make those things. And then by the time I was finished going through and culling the queue to pull out things that I was like, probably not going to make that ever. I was down to 364. So about 90 things got kicked out of my queue. And I've had some of those things in my queue for a really, really long time. Some of them were dated 2011. I can't believe I've been on Ravelry that long. But I have, and yeah, I had things queued since 2011. And there are still some things in my queue that are from 2011 that I'm like, oh yeah, I want to make that someday. But it was really interesting to see what sorts of things I was queuing then and what sorts of things I'm queuing now, which isn't a lot. Once upon a time, I VK'd with people every night almost, and some days we would just be like, oh, have you seen this pattern? Have you seen this pattern? Have you seen this yarn? So like queues and Etsy wish lists and stuff got super full at that time. I don't get to do that with my friends super much anymore. So my queue grows very slowly now. It's really only when someone is particularly like, have you seen this pattern? I'm like, ooh, that would be cool. Or if I'm looking for a specific project that is not, that I don't have anything that fits from my queue to it. But yeah, it was really fun to go through my queue and look at things and be like, oh yeah, I really want to make that. Or I'm probably never going to make that. So either kick it out of my queue and basically forget about it completely, or kick it out of my queue and move it to my favorites instead. because in my queue are things that I really want to make, and in my favorites are just things that I think are cool and just want to look at every once in a while. And that's how I separate Ravelry. You use Ravelry as you wish. Anyway, I got some new things that I was not expecting. So I was really excited. I was really excited. It was really exciting. I was trying to say too many things at once, as happens. So my dad showed up at Gabriel's birthday party, and he didn't have a present for Gabriel, but he had a present for me. And just in case someone was going to get incensed about my dad not bringing a present for my son to my birthday party, I specifically said on invitations that presents were not a requirement because my kids have toys and they don't really need more toys. So my dad kicked some cash into my hand so that we could figure out, whatever Gabriel needed. But he had also, on his way out to come to the party, he had seen a sign for a yarn sale really close to him. Like, not super close, but pretty close. So he went, 3 miles out of his way to look at what they had because he thought that he read that it was a yarn and barn sale, but it was just a yarn sale at a barn. So Dreamcatcher Alpaca is, it's a local-ish to me farm that I don't know anything about. Let's just preface this by saying I know zero things about this dyer. I don't know if they do anything online. I don't see a URL code on here, but I'll Google it before I post this up. And if I can find a URL, I will post it in the show notes. They were having a sale, so all of their yarn was 30% off. And my dad knows that I like to knit and knows that I like yarn. So he picked up some yarn for me, and not just a little bit. He got me 2 skeins of their 70% alpaca, 15% merino, 15% nylon worsted weight yarns. So this one is called Green Tea. And then this one is called Lavender. So it's got one ply that is a dyed fiber and one ply that is more the natural brown color, but it's a heathered because alpacas aren't just a super solid yarn. And my dad talked to them a little bit, and they don't spin their own yarn. They send it out to a mill in the area. So yeah, it's 100% US made, mill spun here. Really, really pretty colors. And then, Josh, are you watching? Because I feel like you should be. And if you're not, you're missing out. So these are 100% alpaca, both of these. And these are all 250 yards. They don't have colorway names. But this looks like a Josh Ricks 2-color shawl, if he ever designs a two-color shawl again. I feel like he would need these colors. It's a little bit scratchy, a little bit toothy because it's 100% alpaca, but it's really, really nice. They're all 2-ply yarns. And next time I go up to visit my dad, who knows when that will be, but maybe I'll swing by and see if they have more of that. And then there's also this, it won't matter unless you're local to me, but September 17th and 18th, there is a Fiber and Art Festival, and Dreamcatcher alpacas will be there. So that's pretty cool. And it's in Oxford, Michigan. So if you want the information, I mean, I guess I can show you. It doesn't matter. It's not super far from me. It's not super close to me either, but I might go, and it's got free admission, so maybe children and I will be driving out that way this weekend, because that could be kind of fun. And then what I have left for you is what I'm reading. So last week I was reading Darkest Heart. I think I was reading this. Maybe? I don't know. I know I was reading it during my my mini-sode. But Darkest Heart, I finished it. She meets a Sonia Blue meets a human vampire hunter in this one, and they kind of join forces. And there is some voodoo that happens because they go to New Orleans, and she has all sorts of friends who practice different occult things. And is it appropriate to say that voodoo is a cult? I don't know. I could be offending somebody. That's not my intent. So that's pretty interesting. And I really, really enjoy the Sonia Blue books. Very, very much. I think that they're excellently written vampire novels. They're definitely splatterpunk, but it's not gore on every page. I've like for splatterpunk, I feel like it's a really tasteful book. Does that make sense? If you don't know what splatterpunk is, that won't make any sense, but if you do know what splatterpunk is, I think you'll understand what I'm saying. I also started and finished Tangled Webs by Anne Bishop, which is, again, in the Black Jewels books. It has characters from the first trilogy in it. It mostly follows a side character, or like a minor character. I don't know. She's not a minor character. She's supporting character. I feel like that's a better definition of her. So it follows her mostly, but the main characters are also in this book. So if you have read the trilogy and you want to see more of those characters, this one directly relates to that. And it's after those books. It's after those 3 books. And then I started reading, sad. I started reading Dead Roses for a Blue Lady. And this is the final book that I have for Sonia Blue. If anyone knows of any other Sonia Blue books, let me know so that I can look into acquiring. But this is the last one, and it is a collection of short stories, which are all pretty good, but I have to say that my favorite one is called, I think it's called Red Velvet Manor. No, it's called Some Velvet Morning. And it is about Elizabeth Bathory. So Sonia Blue meets up with Elizabeth Bathory. And Countess Bathory is probably my favorite vampire because she's not the typical type of vampire, the bite on the neck and you turn into a vampire type vampire. She's just, brief, if you don't know about Elizabeth Bathory, I'm going to tell you. She was known as the Blood Countess because she was obsessed with remaining beautiful and young. So she and her henchmen collected up maidens from the surrounding countryside, virgins, and she would bathe in their blood so she could remain beautiful and young forever, which is insane. But she's my favorite. I don't know why she's my favorite, but she really just is my favorite vampire. And so that there is a short story about her in here, and that is my favorite one. She's just so good. I mean, okay, so Sonia Blue is actually my favorite vampire because she's also an atypical vampire, and she's so cool. She's just so cool. But of the historical vampires, Elizabeth Bathory is my favorite. I do enjoy, Dracula and Vlad the Impaler and those stories. And depending on what stories you read, those are the same. I enjoy reading about the Slavic vampires. I enjoy reading about all sorts of vampires, but Elizabeth Bathory is my favorite. and Sonia Blue is my favorite modern vampire. So I'm going to be sad when I finish this. I am in the middle of the second to last short story, so I'll be finishing it in the next couple days, maybe today, who knows. Yeah, it's really, really good. There are a couple of the stories in here are related to each other, so that's cool. Like, you read one short story and then another short story takes place a decade later, but using some of the same characters, so that's cool. Yeah, I would highly recommend Sonia Blue to anybody who enjoys vampires and splatterpunk, but I've been saying that for months now. And then the last thing, the last things I have been listening to are audiobooks. One was Turncoat, and the other is Changes. And those are both by Jim Butcher. They're both Dresden Files books. And I loaded my audiobooks onto my tablet so I could take my tablet to the park and listen to my tablet as I was knitting or spinning or whatever. So that was really cool. I am about 20% through Changes. Oh my gosh. So out of all of the things that have happened so far, Changes probably has like the biggest WTF moment in it as far as like a plot twist. Not in a bad way, not in a this would never happen sort of way, but in a oh my gosh, I can't believe that just happened sort of way. So it's really good. It's worth listening to the first, what book am I on? 12 or whatever. I think Changes is 12. It's worth it to listen through the first 11 to get to the 12th one for that moment. I mean, the other ones are good, but that moment, I was just like, world explode, like in my brain. I'm really enjoying it. I haven't listened to it in a few days because I haven't gone to the park. So I haven't been listening to audiobooks. I've been mostly watching podcasts while I've been home because I'm like 2 weeks behind at this point, which is good because I think a week ago I was a month behind. So there's that. And I'm babbling now. So I hope you made something fantastic with your sticks and string. I have an idea for a short video that I might put out later this week, but I don't know. So will either see you then or I will definitely see you next week. Bye!